Assalamu alaikum. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah al-Alameen. As-salatu salam ala Rasulillahi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. Halun salim bikum. Salamu ala mani taba hura la ikhwani khwati fi din. Salamu ala mani taba. Excuse me. I already said that. I was in a rush. I was trying to get on time. Please excuse me. Old man's blunder, And to my fullback community, Anjarama Salam, Jautali, Jamwali, Alhamdulillah Jam. Okay, my dear brothers and sisters, today I'm going to talk about something, and let's honor our guest here, who we have, my dear cousin here. Always thank you very much. Walaikum salam, my dear cousin. Thank you very, very much. And of course, my dear brother there in Texas with his southern accent, but very, very good program. And hopefully, my brothers and sisters, you guys subscribe to our dear brother's station. He's a professional teacher, so he knows how to get it done. And he's quite different from me, of course. He's not as fiery, but he gets his point across with that southern charm, and he's a good man. So please follow our dear brother. And my sister here in California, thank you very much, my dear sister, for showing up today. Thank you very, very, very much. Okay, my dear brothers and sisters, today I'm going to talk about a topic. My dear brother, he's not here, I see. Please subscribe to my, I don't know if even if my, they removed it. I have my WhatsApp channel on here. Oh, no, there it is. Okay. And he made some suggestions to me because he was talking about some of, and there's my channel here. And he was asking me to go deeper because he's in Nigeria. And of course, our Futafula community is under heavy wraps there in Nigeria in particular. And he wanted me to go deeper into some of the accomplishments of the Futafula family and through history. So I decided to do that on my brother's behalf. And I'll see what King Cam has to say here. Okay, thank you, my dear brother. Okay, all right, thank you very much for that. And the Futafula community, boy, I'm gonna tell you something. When I started this journey, I got my DNA back, found out my mom, after all these years looking at my relatives, my mom, now I figured out why they had this look. And I found out I was Fulani, and I was so happy. And then I started my journey to learn more about that. And it's taken me to great heights with the permission of Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. And I've been happy to learn a lot of this history. And so I wanted to go over, because I've talked about many issues, many things about us, about what we have done and so forth and so on. But this one, I'm going to really narrow it down. And, we have to look at it from a standpoint. Again, anytime we talk about the Futafula, we talk about the Hausa, we talk about Yoruba, any of the people, you always have to go back to ancient Kemt. I mean, that's, you just can't get past that. That is where the breeding ground, this is where we originated, started. And as my dear brother Bush, he was here, he was talking about that. We are original African people, meaning Kimtiyu, meaning that we didn't come from some other region. We were always present inside Ifriqiya, and this has been our homeland. Yes, we ventured out, but we were created and we were nurtured in this continent. We weren't nurtured in India or in Europe. We were nurtured here, and then we branched out, and then we returned back, if you know the history. And again, we don't have all of the 100% evidence, but we have enough evidence to tell us about that history. So West Africa in this particular, because it's been a hot zone, if you really, really think about it, from the time basically that Islam began, and when the first, the Afro-Arabs who were black, who began to make the trek across the Sahara, and then they encountered our brothers, the Fulani, and the Futafula people, and they began to do this. From that time, West Africa was changed forever. And all the scholarship and all of the wealth and everything was very, very prevalent in West Africa. The Tubab, European slavers, the American slavers, they saw the richness of this region, and they didn't want to go to many other areas to get quote unquote slaves, because they were not the type they felt that would be well that would adapt to the southern United States. See, and that's another factor we never talk about, and it's talked about maybe very little in school. Maybe Kim Cam has in his school, if they allow this, about the Portuguese when they began to take and kidnap our Kimtiu brothers who were fishing. It started in Morocco, and then it started to go south into Senegal, and then all the way around into the coastal region of West Africa. They found the Kimtiu to be robust, very, very strong black men. Okay, Kimtiu, they found them very, very strong, more so than many other areas that they had traveled. So when they began to take us, they took us, and and then later on, like in the American landscape, these it's almost like we do now today. You get on your iPhone and you go and you want to go to Walmart. You don't have time to go to Walmart, right? So you make a laundry list of what you want out of Walmart. Well, the Americans were doing the same thing with the Portuguese and the Spanish and so forth, who are brokers. So they'll say, look, I'm going to grow rice, and I need people who are doing rice and so forth. They would find these areas and then kidnap and then enslave our brothers, our ancestral brothers, and send them to the United States, to the South, where they would be, they would cultivate corn. Rice. So we had that. This is not an accomplishment, but I'm giving you a backdrop to this. And then it went on from this point, and this is the sorrowful point of what happened in the medieval times. But I'm going to go back now to start to give you some of this evidence. But as usual, we have to always go back to camp and then come into the region. And one of the things I have to, and those I will show this picture, I have to make this point to, because there's a very, very, very good reason and point to this. We have Futafula sisters like this with the braided hair. Brothers and sisters, as I start to do more and more research, I have found so many murals and in the Book of the Dead, and also the Oti, where they were talking about the issue of, and they described them in this fashion. This hairstyle, brothers and sisters, that you see today was transposed to West Africa. And our West African brothers and sisters begin to adapt those. This is one of the accomplishments of the Futafula community, has been our sisters. Our sisters with this hairstyle and beauty, it gave a new type of way of decorating their hair and so forth and so on. And so this is one big accomplishment that we have to always think about. So when we look at the people who done braids and so forth and so on, they got to look back and they have to look at the Futafula community, because they were doing this way back in ancient Tamari, and they brought these hairstyles with the braids all the way to West Africa, into North Africa, and then into South Africa. We can't get past that. That is an accomplishment, because those hairstyles are with us today, even in the United States and in the Caribbean. We have those hairstyles, and we have to attribute those hairstyles back to the Futafula, our beautiful sisters, when they came into the region. See, so this is something we can never take aim at and dismiss. And our brothers, okay, our brother here was saying something here. Go back to the source. Yes, you have to go back to the source with all of us. We have to all of us from West Africa. We have to go back that region. We have that because we can't. Many of the linguistics that we speak in West Africa today is tied back to Tamari. And maybe one of these days I get to it. I would probably try to do a class on this to show you to pull up dialects, and you'll find that with the Metaneher, you see Metaneher words all the way with Wolof and Jollof and with even with the Dogon and even with us Fulani, we adopted many words as well. So all this is very interesting. They discussed briefly. And our brother says, okay, here we got our brother here. Oh, Salam alaikum, my dear brother. I'm Jarama. Thank you very much. I'm Jarama to you, my dear brother. Thank you for showing up today. And our brother says, Mayate, Jamtum. Thank you, my dear brother. Thank you very much. And when we go back to our ancient period of time back into Kempt, those accomplishments that were there were transposed to West Africa. Brothers and sisters, we can't get past that. We can't get past it. And some of the most mundane things we don't think about is attributed to the Futafula community. See, and we have to acknowledge that. When the scholarship began to happen, and the scholarship began in the 700s, brothers and sisters, the Futafula community took Islam from the north, as you heard me talk about the clans. The clans were united under the Islamic banner. Now, do we have 100% confirmation on this? No, but we do know that the Futafula were in Maghreb, and I told you about this, and one of these days, inshallah, I'm going to cover Morocco, talking about the 5 great, powerful sultanates, beautiful sultanates, and the people, and so forth and so on. The clans met in modern day Morocco as we see it today. They met there. And under the banner of Islam, they began to go further south and then spread Islam. This is another accomplishment that occurred. And they began to bring people to Islam. And it wasn't done by the sword. Yes, we had wars and so forth and so on, but that was a peripheral action. But when we began to spread Islam, we spread it through peace, according to the Sharia Allah and the Sunnah of Nabi alayhi salam. We cannot force conversion upon anybody. We cannot. But in time of war, we have conditions in order to stop a war of happening, which I've covered in the class of 4. And those 3 conditions are very prevalent in the Sunnah. If we get ready to fight somebody and they're disbelievers, we'll give them the option, say, look, you can come to Islam. If you don't want that, then you can come and you pay a tax and you be under our protection. See, and then if those 2 options are out, then it's the safe. The safe meaning the sword is, then we have to fight it out, and so forth and so on. So there's conditions that we give in Islam. But when we come across an area of people, we're not to force them. The Futafula community were beautiful masters of that, of getting people to come to Islam. This is a great accomplishment, The people, we see all the ethnic groups today, they attribute that Islam came to them from a person who was Futafula, who came in that region and gave Islam. That's right. Because why? If I should have drawn a map of this, when the Afro-Arabs came into the region, they themselves were black. Now, again, I'll give you one of the most prevalent proofs is with Roderick. It's racist, but it proves something. When Islam began to take hold, right, in West Africa, as it started to go down, it was in the Takrur region. That's where you had all the clans, many of the Futafula clans and so forth were there. When they made their trek with their Tuareg brothers to go up north to fight in Spain. As we know, they called it Vandalus. We called it Andalus. This is what we called it. And Roderick saw them. He said each was blacker than the other, meaning he saw the Afro-Arabs, he saw the Tuareg, and he saw the Senike, he saw the Futafula, he saw Wolof, and he described many of the Wolof too, because matter of fact, he had some reports that he had bodyguards who were Wolof because they were described before the Muslims came into 711. And they said they were very, very powerfully built and black and very, very tall. And this is what reports that Roderick had as bodyguards before the Muslims hit Andalus. So he said each was blacker than the other. So that is in itself proof that everybody was black, even the Afro-Arabs. So when the Afro-Arabs spread this religion to us, then we begin to take it and we begin to spread it as well. And this is an accomplishment because it brought a new fervor into West Africa. And that fervor was a positive one. Why? Because as our brothers begin to go to regions, let me see if I got some of the murals here. Nope, that's not what I wanted. Yes, when our brothers begin to come into the Sahel region and into the coastal West Africa region, we had our brothers who were not, because now the writing that was gone from us, okay, we lost it, but it was restored with Arabic and so forth and so on. And so when the Futafula, the Fulani scholar, went to many areas of West Africa, he came to villages, and the people came to Islam because they saw him. He began to teach them, and he began to teach them to read and write. That's another aspect of accomplishment, because we had lost that. Many of our brothers and sisters at the time had lost their script. The Mende script was forgotten. The Mende script, I forgot, there's so many. I did a class on this. I don't have that here now. And they lost that. But it was reintroduced again by the Futafula scholars and imams who came to spread Islam, and they began to come to villages, and that's how it spread. And he began to teach them and so forth and so on. And this is an accomplishment again, and that we had. And we can't lose sight of that. And then we had another aspect of this, brothers and sisters, as our West African brothers and sisters begin to see the Fulani woman and her children and so forth and so on. Again, they saw a woman that came in, they saw her with braids, long braids and hairstyles. They liked that and they saw that. But our sisters, were covered to a degree, but they saw the hairstyles, and they saw, because of Islam and also because of Pulaku, they understood the cleanliness. And our sisters who also were involved in the dawah of Islam, we cannot get past that, because our sisters were. And again, the accomplishment. Our sisters, again, when they begin to come and make their treks with their husbands, and when the clans and so forth begin to spread it, they begin to teach our West African sisters about different foods that we fix from the milk products. Because why? We had cattle, we had milk, we had cheese, we had curded milk, we had dried meat, we had many different things. They had that, yes, but they did not have it at the scale that when our people came to give these things, we began to give them other advice on how to raise and do different types of food. And one of the foods that we did introduce, which was interesting, which is spread all through West Africa. And we also found that when I was in the South Pacific, brothers and sisters, all the way in Samoa and Fiji, I found these same dishes over there. It's coincidence, I know, but I found the same dishes. One of the dishes that was taught was with milk and fish, okay? They take milk and fish. That was one of the things that's very, very delicious if you know how to fix it. The milk is curded and then it's cooked with the fish. It's very delicious. And then also the rice with the milk, curded milk and so forth and so on. These things were being taught, and they were taught to our West African sisters. This is another accomplishment that we did. These are things we have forgotten about. These things that nobody talks about. And we have forgotten about this. Even our Futafula community have forgotten about this history. They've forgotten about this history, and so from so on. And that's why I'm bringing it up today. So as our clans begin to go out, they begin to hit the areas, and they begin to give this knowledge of Islam and reading and writing back to our sisters and stuff, and they begin to give them something. And so the clothing changed and everything. This is why when the Afro-Arabs returned back to the region around the 800s, the 900s, and 1000s, especially, they begin to find in areas, they see beautiful, beautiful clothing, hairdresses, and so forth of our sisters, and then they start to see with the Muslim brothers of West Africa, turbans with face veils, which we call muladiyun. Remember, I told you about this word many times. The Afro-Arabs called us in this region Bilad Sustan, meaning the land of black people, and the Takrur region. He saw us, and they began to call us muladiyun, meaning those who wear turbans and face veils, over their nose, mouth, and so forth, and so on. So these things we cannot get past and take for granted, because it's been prevalent. Everything you see today, we find dishes that are in West Africa. You can trace it back to our Futafula community, especially like the rice with milk, and rice with fish and stuff like that, milk with yams. These type of dishes were created and so forth, and the cheeses and the curded milk and stuff like that. These are things still today that we love in West Africa. You have to look at that, where did that originated from? So when they talk about that we have not brought anything to West Africa except the sword, I'm giving you that evidence to tell you that's not the case. That's not the case at all. And when we begin to spread the knowledge, we had very, very strong, powerful leaders. This is modern time, because you see the watch, they didn't have the watches like this. But I'm just giving you an example of how it was. And our brothers spread this religion, this beautiful religion that we practice, and so forth and so on. And it was a big, big deal. And as West Africans began to come to Islam, you see West Africa landscape changed. Once it came under the power of Subhanahu wa ta'ala, we had wealth beyond belief. Even Ghana was very wealthy with its gold and so forth. And we had other non-Muslim empires who had money, but not at the scale and the wealth that we had. And when they measured the 20 wealthiest nations of all time, 10 or 11 of them were Muslim. Many of them were in Africa. You got to understand that. And the wealthiest man of all time is not Chinese. He was not a Tubal. He was not Japanese. He was not Malay. He was a black man, and that's Mansa Musa was the richest man, declared the richest man in history. And he was under the Islamic banner. So again, brothers and sisters, we look at all these issues, and we see how beautiful this history is and so forth. And let's get to some of our questions here. See what our brothers say. Itself, names like yes, yeah, okay, yes. See, yes. That is again, that goes to show the great influence of Meher Neher, and we took that because we spoke that in ancient Kemt, and we know those words. Like, and I gave you about the clans. Bari is a Meher Neher word. Bari, meaning the people who worship, people who it's like with Muslims, we worship Allah. Bari, remember Ba in many instances, Meher Neher could mean people. It could also mean the soul, as you know, I talked about this many, many times. And Bahri are the people who are or who are under. Re is a name for Ra, meaning under Subhanahu wa ta'ala, and it's related to the sun because they depicted the sun as that of power of Subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we used to swear out oaths on milk and butter. That's very interesting. I didn't know that. I didn't even know that. Really sworn. Yes, see, that's very interesting. Thank you, my dear brother, for the information. I didn't know that. I did not know that. But I tell you this, anybody who tries to take slight about this milk and butter and stuff, they weren't laughing in those days and so forth. They took it because we were experts at that. And the people, as we begin to trade, that milk and that butter and that curded milk and that dried beef was a big commodity. Big commodity, brothers and sisters. See, and that's, again, we take that for granted because we have to eat. We don't think about many of the dishes that have come about. We don't look at our brothers and sisters today, and our beautiful African sisters, Kemptu sisters in West Africa who have braided hair. Where do they get these styles from? They'll say, no, my mother gave it to me, my grandmother. No, because if you look back, those styles were prevalent around about the 18th dynasty in ancient Tamari. And so they began to show that for many centuries, to the point where even Ramses himself had that braid. See, and the Ramses kept that one braid. They had their hair real long and they shaved their head. They put the braid on one side. That's what for men, okay, and especially for the kings and so forth and so on. So this style is, we helped to create that style, and of course we changed, we have changed hairstyles, and our Black African sisters begin to do many things with their hair as well. And our brother says they called it braided hair, Fulani braid. Yes, they call it Fulani braids. Yes, and even sometimes in America they say that, and they don't really realize what they're talking about. You know what I mean? They don't really realize what they're saying. I heard African Americans talking one day, these young sisters in the hood, and the girl asked her, she said, look, I need somebody to do my Fulani braids. And when I heard that, I said to myself, I don't even think they know what is actually they're saying. It's because it's been handed down to them. So they say Fulani braids. They don't understand it's people, and it's our group, our people, and so forth and so on. But they just said, I heard these girls, I was shocked. They were young girls, 15, 16, 17, 18-year-old girls in the hood. And this was, I don't know where this was, in Kansas City. I saw this in YouTube, and the sister was complaining. She said, I don't know. We had one sister who was doing, she was very good at this. I was listening, kind of dozing off. And all of a sudden she said, but I found one sister who can do the Fulani braids good. I was shocked, and woke me up quick. So that is a very interesting situation. It's sad because they couldn't probably relate to, no, they don't relate that to us. But it's a word, two words that have been handed down, Fulani braids. And this is, again, brothers and sisters, one of the drawbacks. I always ask why my mom never talked. I know I heard my mom say some things, but but they made sure that we didn't even know this history. And it's really sad in America that it was that way, because they didn't want us to focus on that. They wanted us to focus on being American. They wanted to focus on school and not on things like that. This is what I surmise. But man, I tell you, when I start to look at these accomplishments, especially the hair, because the hair is a very important aspect in our lives on this continent. And the Fulani girl, the Futafula girl, was instrumental in that because of the hairstyles that we had in ancient Tamari. We took those hairstyles and brought it to the north, and then we brought it to the south, and we can't get past that. Yes, remember I was telling you before, many people don't understand the Futafula community. They say, well, why they look this way, why they look that way, and so forth and so on. And they don't really, many of them don't understand that. My brother said, our people don't think that they look African, so they claim to be some mysterious black, which I still can't find. Yes. And this is sad because there's no one prototype of quote unquote a Kempti, a black man. Because I'm gonna tell you why. Let's look at even today. You look at West Africa and you look at those in East Africa, you can't really tell who's what. And we have shades of different of blackness and brownness in shades. Not all of us are short, fat, with wide noses and thick lips. That's not true. That's not the prototype feature. Our enemy used that because when they began to find historical excellence, they said they can't be, Kempti, because they didn't have wide nose and thick lips and jet black color. They used that in their way to take a from accomplishment from us. They found something and they said, oh, they look at maybe a drawing. He said, no, look, he doesn't have the wide nose. He doesn't have the real kinky hair. He doesn't have the big thick lips, so he couldn't have been Kempti. And this is what they use against us. And it's very, very, very sad. So now I will talk about something, more of these accomplishments. And I have to talk about the issue, brothers and sisters. I can't stress more the scholarship. And still today, from 700 to the present, the Futafula excellence and intelligence and educational excellence is still superior. We have lost a lot of it with our youth because they have not been educated, because of discrimination and so forth. But that's still not an excuse that we should teach our brothers and sisters who are in the Sahel, who have not went to school. We didn't have schools way back centuries ago, but we had Baba and so forth. They, begin to teach their grandchild and so forth how to read and write and so forth and so on, and give education. We've lost that. We have a lot of youth today who are not educated, and that's against the Pulaku. It's against it. See, so that is the colonial people did a heck of a number on us. I mean, they really hurt us bad, and this is very, very sad. And when we were running the saltness through West Africa to a large degree, that scholarship was manifested across. When we came into a region, we educate the people. We did this from 700s all the way to the time of the colonial, when our brother Omar Tal, when he was finally defeated. And then all of this scholarship was gone. After all those centuries, over 1,000 years, then this scholarship dissipated, and then we lost a lot of that. We lost a lot of it. And it's a shame that we have this. And my sister said this was a date on YouTube where a white girl claimed that the braids came from the Viking, not from. Yeah, my sister, this is, let me tell you something. This is very interesting, and people don't want to talk about this, especially the Vikings, because the Tubab worship them, and it's a double standard to a degree. The Tubab looks at history of the Greeks. The Greeks were polytheists. Okay, they were not monotheists. No, they were polytheists. They had thousands of gods. Okay, you see how they worship, not worship that, but they make good of that. Then when they come on the continent, they go find African people who doing the same thing as the Greeks. Then they lambast them. Let me tell you something. The Vikings had encounters with Muslims in Andalus, and it's finally coming out. And do you know that there was a famous Afro-Arab who went to the Vikings to get them to come to Islam? And many of them did come to Islam. Matter of fact, when they find burial sites, they found Arabic inscriptions on there. That's right, brothers and sisters. And they try to hide that. Also, when they came into as they start going to raiding parties, they came into Andalus. In Andalus at that time too, and we also have evidence to show that maybe even black people were with Vikings, because when the Vikings came in England, there were black folk there. So they might have had those people, and also those hair braiding they found there because black people were already in Europe. See, so that could be also the region, but there's no way. I'm gonna tell you why, my sister. There was no Vikings 5,000 years ago. We were wearing braids in ancient Kent. So we had no influences because there was no Tubab. Okay, the Tubab came later, and even that we didn't copy off them; they copied off us. See, so this is again something. Yeah, yes, we had that, and so forth. We had that, and so now I'm gonna get to these here. I wrote some notes, brothers and sisters, to talk to, because I want to hone this in about the accomplishment of the Futafula community, because it's very important. You know, we established powerful states, and those states empowered people. It empowered people a lot. And from the 7-Eleven to 1900, we were always doing something to benefit West Africa, always. And during this time, we had leaders, we had Islamic, and we made jihad to spread Subhanahu wa Ta'ala's religion all the way across, and we did do that. And then we start to have beautiful sultanates all through the region. And the thing that made this so interesting is that the spread of Islam spread Islamic knowledge, but also worldly knowledge. That worldly knowledge was also taught, meaning they begin to teach things about the interstellar space. They begin to teach about medicine and so forth and so on. All of these things came from scholars and the Sufi scholars as well. See, they begin to teach the people as they came in. See, and so all this type of thing is carried on today, and we benefited from that. But today, nobody talks about that because they don't want it. They don't want that out. And the influences of the Islamic power and the Futafula power in shaping the region is very evident. And then one of the greatest of things was that who were on the last to fight against the Tubab? It was the Futafula community, because we had sultanates and emirates everywhere, and we fought the Tubab. We fought them. We fought the colonialists. We fought them until the last, which was in 1900. Of course, you know what happened. Then when the French took over, we still might be fighting today if our Hapopolar brothers and our brothers from the Messina didn't duke it out. And we lost 30,000 Muslims in that battle. And the French stood back and waited. And waited. And then when they saw, after the smoke cleared, both the Messina was gone now. The Hapopolar could not field enough soldiers to stop the French and the turncoat Africans, the Kempti who helped them. And they were still active for another almost 30 years before they finally took all of it out. So this is a very, very interesting situation. And also, we were very astute in diplomatic tactics and stuff and whatnot. And when the Europeans came over here, they found us to be very, very shrewd and so forth and so on. And so this again, brothers and sisters, is the evidence. Some may not want to look at this. They may say, well, I don't care about that because they have their fixed impression about the Fulani people. It's wrong. The economic trade and accomplishments also. We had lifestyle was a major factor in West African commerce. The Futafula community, again, with all of its meats and all the things we created, was very, very strong staple through the region. And then this factor helped to mobilize a lot of the area and so forth and so on. And we can't get past that. The trade routes we were running, and nomadic herders and Fulani moved their cattle across vast distances. And then this movement and the exchange of goods, we had again this exchange. As the Futafula started to go across the Savannah region, they come across the farmers. The farmers looked, because they started to have agreements. The farmers knew the season that they would come. The farmers would make orders, say, look, can you give me X amount of kilos of dried beef? And the Futafula would do this. And then maybe they say, well, look, we also want curded. We want many liters of curded milk and cheese and so forth and so on. This system was going on for a long time until the colonial people destroyed it. And then you see what has happened today. And our weak leaders never want to go back to understand what this meant. See, they don't want to. They don't want to understand how that system was working, and so forth and so on. And one of the greatest things that you may laugh about, brothers and sisters, you may laugh about this, but as the cattle made their trek, you had some our Futafula community had already went to the east. Now, because of the rainy seasons, they would start to come back to the west. We had those who were in the west knew that now going to the east, they find grazing. As the cattle, thousands and thousands and thousands of herd of cattle went across the region, they fertilized and changed. That's right, the manure of the cattle changed the soil tremendously to where we can grow a lot of crops. That is one of the greatest gifts that the Futafula community gave to West Africa, is the manure. Because when we came across with our 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 cattle, they left their, since their droppings, of course, and whatnot, and it fertilized the soil. Our farmers took a lot of this and they waited for the herds to come. When the herds came, they told him, look, please, Yahya, can you stay here in this region? I'll let you graze on. I have crops here that are old. Can they graze on that? And I'll take the manure. And we had agreements like this. So the farmers would take the manure and fertilize their soil and crops. That's right, brothers and sisters. That's one of the greatest accomplishments and one of the greatest things that we gave to our brothers and sisters in West Africa is this fertilizer. That you can't get past that. That fertilizer helped to fertilize things for dashin. Also helped to fertilize banana and mango and many different fruits and so forth and so on. That's right. See, so we can't laugh that off. It's a major contribution. And then we talked about the cultural things. We talked about, again, the hairstyles and the dress of the Futafula woman was very important. Again, that distinct tradition carried through West Africa, and many groups adopted this type of hairstyles and the dress that we wear, the style. And this is, again, many of some of the accomplishments that we had done and so forth. Some Futafula people settled and integrated into urban centers and stayed there. And because they came in, they became Futatoro people, right? They left the herd and came into town. But our sisters were living around different ethnic groups. As they began to have friendships with many, the Capelli or with the Mendinka, the Mende, there was a lot of mixing going on in cultures at one time. And our Futafula women gave their, different things, how to, with meat and milk and so forth and so on. We were experts in that. And that carried on, like I said, and we had dishes based from that milk, cheese, and from the curded milk. That is something that is prevalent still today in West Africa. It's very, very prevalent, and we can look to see where it's come from. Many will say, no, I didn't. My grandmother did this, but we have the genesis of this. We had the Futafula community. We're doing this. Our sisters is doing that, and that's something we cannot get past. And we have, again, we established our great sultans and amirs established a great relationship between the farmer and against the herder. As our herders go across to grazing areas, of course, because of the season, right? Again, fertilizer, the manure that was dropped by thousands and thousands of cattle in the range. The farmers would ask again. They would say, "Hey, Yahya, please, can you come?" And also our cattle was used to loosen up the soil. So if maybe he had a region that he wanted to open up now to plant dashin, for instance, or he wanted to put banana, or he wanted to put something else there, yams, right? What he would do, he would go to one of our brothers and say, "Hey, look, can you bring your cattle across this region?" The cattle, because of their bulk and strength, and because the sheer number, they would come and till the soil free for the man. He didn't have to do the work. He let the cattle walk across it, and they loosened the dirt for him. This is one of the great things. And plus, fertilize the soil, because when they use the bathroom, that manure, again, fertilizes soil. Don't, this is not funny. It's a prevalent thing because it gave food, because the fertilizer from the cattle is very strong, and even to this day. You know that. You put manure and so forth and so on. You dry it, and it's good for grass and so forth and so on. But most people don't use that today because it, it smells bad. You know that. But our farmers did. They will go and they will contract with our brothers, and the brothers will run their cattle across this region. They'll soften up the dirt, plus leave the manure there, and the farmer will come back, him and his and his sons and so forth, and other people he might have hired, and he would till this into the soil, and this made the soil very, very rich, and they grew dashin and many different things like this. So those things, brothers and sisters, that that those are some of the accomplishments that I wanted to talk about. And as well, Dr. Moores used to raid the yeah, I'm not sure of that part. Because the French stopped the advancement of the Muslims from going further north and northeast. They stopped that in the Great Wars they had from 1729, to about 1750, I believe, with Charlemagne. Charlemagne, the great warrior of France. At that time, they were known as Gaul. They were called Gauls. They weren't called French. And the Charlemagne encountered. He had many, many great battles with the Muslims, to the point where they stalemated and they stopped their advancement, because the Muslims were trying to go north and east, but Charlemagne stopped them. And they have bloody, bloody wars. And if you know about the poems of Charlemagne, he described the Futafula, the Senike, the Wolof, and all the Black African Tuareg, and he had a poem about them, and he said that they were black as the night, or no, he said they were molten black, and he said only thing white on them was their teeth. That's racist, right? But this is in a long poem. I did this class on that. Charlemagne, again, proving that the Moors were black folk. And he called them Saracens. This is the first time black people were actually Kempti, because Saracens is attributed to white Arabs, right? It's not true. The word Saracen was introduced by the French. And when Roderick began to describe the Moors, he called them Moors, but he called them Saracens. This is where that word come from. But if you look at the movie, the Saracens always show the white Arab, but it's not the case, because Charlemagne talked in a poem. He said that the only thing white on them was their teeth, because he said they were molten black. This is what he described them as. See, very, very interesting. Very, very, very interesting. Oh yes, Master the Bush, yes. And we got our brothers. How you doing? How you doing, my dear brother? Okay, I like your greetings, but it still is a greeting. No, thank you very much. Hey, back to you, my dear brother. Thank you for showing up. And our brother here. Oh yeah, okay. Thank you, my cousin. Thank you for responding to him. And our brother here said we read about the Moorish raids when the research. Yes, I didn't know that they went that because they had to go across up through past England, up around there, and those seas. That is a very, because the currents are actually going from the north to the south. They're not going from the south to the north. And so I didn't know that they hit them, but I know that the Vikings did come to Andalus, and they did make some success. But as they start to go further inland, they were waiting on them, and they finally defeat them. And the Vikings had a profound respect for the Muslims, and they wrote that. They told that's in their history about when they encountered us, and so forth and so on. It's very, very interesting, and that's a history that a lot of people don't want. I'm from Nigeria. What dialect would I have to speak? No, you don't. Whatever you find easier, brother, because there's a few dialects in Nigeria. There's a few dialects. One of the easiest dialects that I can think is Pular. Uh, it's for 40, but it's more easier than a lot of like the Messina. I try to learn, and I'm still learning the Messina for 40 is very difficult because the Messina for 40 mixes in for 40 with Arabic. There's a lot of Arabic words transposed inside of it. So the Messina dialect is very difficult. I would take a dialect that you can learn easily and so forth and so on. And I think one of the easiest is against Pular. That's to the western corridor. It's still for 40. It's and so forth and so on. Andrama, you hear me say that many times. That comes from Pular. See, so that's my advice to you. And about to go to work. Okay, thank you, my dear brother, my cousin. Thank you very, very much to show up today. I really appreciate that. Anjarama to you, Anjarama. So, brothers and sisters, you know, when I'm about ready to close here, and you know, we talk about the Futafula community, and we have to take our hats off to our brothers and sisters because I gave you only small portions of the accomplishments, but I wanted to talk about the accomplishments because there's some mundane things we don't think about. You see a savanna region like this, you find corn, you'll find different things that's grown. If you go back to the genesis of it, what you'll find? You'll find that the cattle came through this region and they fertilized the soil. That's right, brothers and sisters. See, this again, we don't think about that. In northern Nigeria, we have areas of highland and so forth and so on. The cattle helped to fertilize the region. The farmers benefited from our cattle in more ways than one. Not only just by eating the meat and drinking the milk and eating cheese, but also the manure that was left behind also helped to make like the highlands of Nigeria very, 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 very fertile soil for growing many different crops. See, so that is something that we can't dismiss. And our sisters again had this power. They begin to as our West African sisters begin to meet our Futafula sisters. They begin to, you know, again, our West African sisters also taught our Fulani sisters also things. We can't say it's on a one-way street. No, both introduced many things. Okay, many things because they have many different. They had rice, they had other things, and they would teach our Futafula sisters about that. And we had many milk products, and we have many dishes from milk. Beef and milk. We had rice and milk. We had fish and milk and so forth with onion. We had all of this type of thing like this. So all of this, all of us benefited from that, brothers and sisters, all of us. And then of course the jihads, when the jihads begin to transpire, the Futafula were the masters of jihad and spreading Islam and so forth and so on. So that is something that is true, but that is used as a negative today because many groups say, look what you did to us, look how you handled us, look what how you destroyed us, da 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 da. This is not the case at all. And we had again all type of different scholarship from our ancestral brothers. And again, we go back to ancient Kemt brothers and sisters, and we have sisters here. This type of hairstyle, this hairstyle is still used today, even in the Caribbean and in America. My dear cousin talked about that, the Fulani braids. I heard these sisters here, I think it was St. Louis, Missouri. I was just combing the net. I saw this thing and these girls in the hood, and I saw them trying to do their braids and so forth and so on. And I listened to these 6 girls, and I heard the girl says, I couldn't find anybody. Finally, I found somebody who could do the Fulani braids. I was shocked when I heard that. So this type of hairstyle, brothers and sisters, is something we took with us from ancient Kemt, and we brought it to North Africa, and then we brought it into West Africa, and no one can say that that's not the case. So brothers and sisters, we did a lot of things, and the scholarship and so forth that we introduced to many regions, and we got people our populations in West Africa begin to read and write again because of that, and they learned Arabic. That's why Arabic was prevalent, especially in the medieval time, all through West Africa, people spoke Arabic because of the Fulani scholars and so forth and so on. They went through the region and helped to educate the West African brothers, and they can't get past that. See, they can't get past that. And again, there was a book written by one brother from an ethnic group. He was marveled by the Fulani people, and he was talking about how they navigated their travel by the stars. We were very prevalent and strong about the universe and so forth and so on, which we still have today. And I may do something about that issue too, about what has happened with the Atlas. Boy, if you guys are following this, it's getting very, very interesting and so forth and so on. Very, 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 very interesting. And our Fulakunda people in Guinea and stuff like this were one of the most instrumental, especially among the Sufi orders of spreading Islam as well. And that is, a great gift. And of course, as we got back again, the interstellar space and whatnot, and also medicine, we begin to teach that to our West African brothers and sisters. That took off big time and so forth and so on in the region. And again, like I said, we talked about our brothers begin to teach their West African brothers. When they had contact with them, they start to teach them, say, look, if you want to go to the north, this is what you do. And I'll teach you how to read the stars. Again, this was mastered by our people. This is mastered by our people. We taught this. See, this is a great accomplishment and so forth and so on. And we can't slight that. And, again, our scholarship, our elders, their knowledge of the space is off the charts. And that again, is something that we gave to our West African brothers. That is a great, great, and our brother here was talking about the mother it will be harder. Yes, the dialect of the Northern is the same as Ghana. It will be easier for an English speaker. Yes, I would say probably, but I really, my opinion is they should try Pular, because Pular seemed to be much easier to learn. Because when you start talking to them like the Messina for 40, it's very difficult. I saw that. It's very, very difficult. Even the pronunciation of the word and so forth and so on. And I know some of the dialects there in Nigeria too are difficult as well. So, but some brother may find the dialects easy for him to learn in Nigeria. So it all depends. But my preference, I would tell somebody to try Pular. That's what I think they should do. Most of them talk fast and will be. Yes, you have to learn from somebody. They got for 40 classes now on YouTube, and I think even in Facebook. Oh, excuse me. And you can learn from some of our brothers and sisters. And what we got here? Yeah. What was the name of the fully written before Islam? I'm trying to study the research. Yeah, there's a few according to the dialects, but I can't remember all the names. But the religion before they came to West Africa, that I know, that was Ka. When they came from ancient Kemt, they were still in the religion, which Ka is a elementary form of Tawheed. And so that's why they were called the Ka people. That's why you notice in the Fulani dialects, they have a lot of Ka in it, a lot. See, and so that is there's some other names they have for, but I don't really research those particular religions because they were polytheism and they went away from their own teachings, which happens to all human beings. We have each group will be strong and then suddenly they become weak. And our brother says here, yes, Fodi was before Islam. Yes, we will never be Fulani unless you have Polaco. Yes, you have to have that, and you have to learn that. But more so than to uh, get that is first you have to embrace and you have to understand that you are Fulani, that you're Fula. That is something by far you have to accept that if you are that and you run with it from that point and you begin to learn and to adapt many things that you can, even if you're in the West, you may be limited, but you adopt many things that you can from your Fulani brothers and sisters, and so forth and so on. And okay, our brother said we covered that. We practiced the okay that gives the expression word. Okay, oh, okay. Now see that I didn't even know this particular word here, but that's pretty interesting comment and whatnot. Thank you very much for that, my dear brother. And our versus Ka is the name. No, Ka, not that. Yeah, Ka, K like in Karen, A like in Apple. That's what that is. The ancient religion of the Kempti people, and so forth and so on. And it deals with the spirit, and Ba deals with the soul. And this is why they call it the religion of Ka. And this is what they were in ancient Egypt. And he brought the names and so forth from this and put it incorporated into 40 dialects. And this is why you have people with the name Bari and stuff like that. You have that. And I already talked about our sister Isato Sao, and I gave the equivalent for that as well. And our brother, he's and our brother's answering him, and he's giving his things here. And yeah, okay, all right. Our brother here was talking like to him. And if there's any more questions, brothers and sisters, please let me know here because I'm going to close up shortly because I wanted to cover this class, about this issue because it's very, very important that we have this even if it's elementary, some of the basic things we influenced and so forth and so on. And and we talked about that here today, and I wanted to get that out so that way you guys would have this. And and our brother that subscribed to YouTube, my What's Up channel, he gave me the idea to talk about this issue today, and that's what I should put this in there because they removed it. No, they didn't. Yeah, they didn't remove it. Uh-oh. I don't see where I think it's gone. I think now they finally got out of it because I don't see our brothers here. They got our comments there. I don't see, but I'll put that in there and subscribe to my What's Up channel, brothers and sisters. If there's any more questions or something, please let me know. Please write to me and whatnot. Please subscribe as well and whatnot, and help my channel to grow and whatnot. And subscribe to my station here. And like I said, also King Cam station. You guys subscribe to him, support him as well, and whatnot. And if there's anything else, okay, let me see here. We got could be possibly. Okay, this our brother said that yes, that when we that is when you brought that up, that is so true. Because when they say that, they don't really understand what they meant by that. But this is a designation for these particular braid styles, and they say Fulani braids. They don't know you're talking about a people who had these styles thousands of years before we came to America. And so they don't maybe realize that, but they say Fulani braids, and they don't really understand who the Fulani people are. They don't understand that. And our people think, yes, we covered that and whatnot. And our brother here, Strong thanks alive. Thank you very much, Mayate. Thank you, my dear brother. Yes, very much. And this is again maybe mundane to a lot of people, but I wanted to counter, especially our brothers there in Nigeria, where they're getting eaten up alive on talk shows, and we have many, that they're really coming after us a lot. And according to them, every crime that's been committed in Nigeria is by the Fulani, and it's not true. See, because when you go back down to Lagos, Lagos has a plethora of mafia families, and they're not Fulani. See, so the criminal element is everywhere from the north to the south, and so forth. They have not found a solution for this. It's really shame. And our brother here saying, thank you, my dear brother. Thank you very much. And then our brother here is saying that was fluent before Arabic. Yes, it was before Arabic. Arabic came later. Arabic came, if we look at the dynasty, I'm not sure even, because you got to remember something. Arabic is the daughter of Hebrew. Hebrew was first, and the Hebrew was transposed, and so this is how we got to that part of it. But we've been speaking this well before there was Arabic language, and so forth and so on. And our brother here says English speaker is the language for the French speaker is called Pular. It's the same thing. Yes, it's the same thing. Yes, it is the same thing. And our brother here is thinking, thank you very much, my dear brother, for your input today, because it's greatly appreciated. And so I think I'm about ready to close here. Okay, brothers and sisters, I'm going to end this here, and I'm going to have another topic here in a couple of days, inshallah, bi'ithnillah. I may go back to the interstellar space again. I'm not sure. But if you guys have any input, please subscribe to my WhatsApp channel. Boy, they removed it, and it's not easy to get out of this and to go back into that to get it, put it back in there and whatnot, because they removed it out of the chat. And but subscribe to my WhatsApp channel, and you get all the latest news. Many times the notifications, you're not going to get it from my shows and so forth and so on. And boy, I tell you, that is very disheartening that it was removed out earlier. When it first started, it was there, and then after that, it was removed out. Yes, sir, it was removed. Boy, I didn't remove it. Who removed it? That's very interesting. Okay, I think I will try that here for a second. Please bear with me, brothers and sisters. Please bear with me while I get the thing here. Okay, get the status here. Where's it at? There we go. Link copied. Okay, there we go. Okay, there we go, brothers and sisters. I got it here. Let me put it here, and then I'll send it across. Yes, and we got where we at here. Okay, did it get in there? Yes. Okay. Yeah, this is my station, and I have a lot of different information in there. Not only just about my program, but there's other things. When I get some information, I've always posted in my WhatsApp, my channel, and that way you can also be kept abreast on what's going on. And especially when a new program comes on, I always put it in there so you get an advance notice of it, because YouTube is just so unbelievable. But you guys, please subscribe to my WhatsApp channel, It doesn't cost you anything, you know. And I don't know who subscribes. I don't know who the people are. It just I know I see the number of people who subscribe. But please subscribe to that if you want the information. And I have other things about Fulani, other history. When things pop up, I'll put that in there, and as an educational purpose and so forth and so on. And our brother said, got it, yes, okay, and whatnot. Okay, now I'm going to close here, brothers and sisters, until the next time. Inshallah ta'ala, please be careful out there. Keep up your prayers, Muslims. Make sure you get your 5 daily prayers and whatnot and so forth and so on. Take care of your families and so forth. And subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you and your families. And you guys be very, very careful everywhere you may be today, because the Fulani people are under fire everywhere. Just be careful, brothers and sisters. Okay, please be very careful of your surroundings and whatnot, and keep your families close by you and what in particular, because the world is so wicked today. Okay, very, very wicked. So with that said, I will leave you here. Assalamu alaikum, rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.